this is Jody King Colegrove with Quantum Techniques. I want to share with you today a confession. I will be the first to confess that I have a sweet tooth. And so I have spent last couple of years finding things that will help satisfy that sweet tooth without taking in a lot of sugar and elevating my inflammation or a fungal infection. So these are just some things I want to share with you today that I've found that kind of help satisfy that sweet tooth. So the first thing is, a lot of times when we test people, we find that they're okay on coconut milk. So if you get the vanilla version of coconut milk, it is a little bit sweet, and so it does taste like you're having a really nice drink. So that's one thing that'll help. Also, you can work on finding either macaroons or making your own macaroons that don't include a lot of sugar. And so because it's made out of a coconut base, it's sweet, and that would also satisfy kind of sweet tooth. One thing that I've really found is I like chocolate, and so trying to kind of get that chocolate flavor in some kind of a dessert is really helpful in satisfying the chocolate desire. So this is something I found, which is sweet cocoa nibs, and it is almost like semi-sweet chocolate chips, but it doesn't have all the dairy with it. So this is something that a lot of times can't have too much of, but it really helps satisfy that chocolate craving that you have. Another thing is that almond butters. So this particular almond butter is vanilla, but you can also get chocolate, you can also get maple syrup, and so they have different flavors to it, and you're having a little bit of the sweet tooth, but along with also the protein. So that's something that might be helpful for you to have kind of a spoonful. Another thing is hazelnut. Raw hazelnut butters and things like that kind of help satisfy that chocolate sweet tooth. So that's another thing that you can do to kind of help the chocolate. Another thing for chocolate is Dr. McCullough makes these cocoa kvass bars, and they've been off the market for a while, and so now they're back on. And so they really also have like chia seeds and a lot of protein in them, and so but it does help satisfy that chocolate sweet tooth. So that's another thing that you can have. Another thing is finding a really good raw chocolate, dark chocolate candy bar. So this is one that I have found it's called Cocoa Nibs by Sacred Chocolate, and it really does help satisfy that chocolate without having all the milk chocolate in it and things like that. So if you really need something that's good. Another thing that you can have is you can find coconut milk ice creams and things like that. So a lot of times you'll have vanilla or coconut flavored or chocolate flavored, but it's made out of coconut milk, and so therefore it doesn't have the dairy with it. Another thing that I like is truffles. Now I have found a cookbook called Practically Raw Desserts by Amber Shea Crowley, and it has a lot of good truffle recipes in there, also chocolates, just a number of things. And so that's a really good thing that you can kind of play with and see what tastes good. But getting cocoa butter, cacao butter, and making your own desserts is also a good idea of so you know what's in there and you can test and things like that. Here's another one that's kind of a chocolate truffles. One that I really like is this Rockin' Raw white chocolate, and it really does taste like cookie dough, which I love. But there comes 4 in a packet, and they're about $8. Well, when you eat one of these, you're really special and taking care of yourself because it costs so much. So I've worked on trying to find a recipe that from that Practically Raw book that will kind of satisfy this. But this is something that's really good, and I suggest you get it that tastes good for you. The last thing is, I've been over a search over the last year for finding a tea that really satisfies me. I really like hot chocolate and apple cider, but those things have a lot of sugar. So I've really searched to find teas that work for me. And one of the ones that I have found is Licorice Spice by Stash. And it has a little bit of sweetness to it, so it's a sweet tea, and it really tastes really good. So I would suggest anything with licorice root in it. So those are just some of the things that I have found that help satisfy sweet tooth at the end of the day or during the day. If you have come up with things that I have left out, please email me because I'd love to have these suggestions. So thanks for listening, and these are just some ideas to kind of help you. But it's always important to test and find out what works for you and tests okay for you. So thanks for listening, and visit our website at quantumtechniques.com. Thanks.